Hi, Jeff. Eric, Jeff coming to you from Massachusetts. Hi, Katria. Hi, Marilee. Haven't seen you in a little while. Nice to see you. How are you feeling?
So good. Better each day.
I want to know, you've been on my heart. Am I allowed to say about what's been going on with you?
Oh, sure.
Why don't you say? You had hip surgery, right?
Yeah, hip replacement. Yeah.
Gosh, I'm so happy you made it.
Yeah, of course. I would not miss Eric for the world.
Oh, I understand that.
Hi.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead.
You just missed Brianna. She's taking Pearl out right now. And you missed Pearl too. She's taking him out for a walk. I'll text him, letting them know you're on the call.
All right, good.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know we have a lot of people who want to watch at home as well. We had quite a few people sign up today. So hello to everyone who is watching from home. And I'll just add people as they come in. But for a couple Zoom rules, as a refresher, for some people, we have please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Video sharing is optional, though we love to see all your smiling faces. And please type all questions and comments into the chat. We love to hear feedback from you. We will have a Q&A at the end of this Lunch and Learn that you can type your questions in and engage with our guest speaker today. A quick update from Autism Tree. Since March of last year, when COVID first hit and we had shelter in place, we started tracking all of our social media numbers, and since then, and we have now reached over 599,000 people through all of our social media channels. This is so incredible. So thank you to everybody who's been following this is across all of our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Our posts have been shared over 1,022 times. So thank you for sharing our content. We constantly post, every day, photo albums from our events and videos from our volunteers. Speaking of videos, we also have our YouTube channel, which has been incredible. Just the amount of work that our volunteers have put into that. We have 400 videos now. You can subscribe today. It's super easy to subscribe. It takes 1 minute. And we've also posted 348 of those videos since last March. And that's all thanks to our volunteers and our program managers and our community of professionals and therapists who all sent in 1 to 5 minute videos, short videos on how to create structure for our kids in home during the pandemic. And then it just kind of turned into something fun for our volunteers to share, a little bit of happiness and some hobbies that they want to share with our kids and families. We also have a Reading with Autism Tree series, which we've posted 107 videos where our volunteers reading children's book for our kids and families and reached over 51,000 people. We've also provided 271 virtual events to date, and we have 18 events coming up between now and the end of July. Of course, we are planning a lot more. 19 of our programs are currently virtual. 19 of our programs, 18 are virtual, one's in person. Our Bridge to the Beach camp will be happening this July, which is coming up in a few days. So in mid-July, we'll be returning to in-person events every once in a while, still doing the virtual events because we love to reach as many people as we can all over the country and different states. So that's a quick update from Autism Tree. Now I'll pass it out to Dana Hoff, our co-founder and volunteer executive director. She'll introduce Eric Cusick today.
Hi, TPF family. It just brings me incredible joy, like where my eyes are watering just seeing Eric's face today. You are going to get a special treat. And as I've said many, many times over the course of the last 58 weeks, that there's no accident what speaker happens each week. And today is the last day of June. And without any hesitation, Eric Cusick is one of my favorite fathers of Autism Tree Project. And I have so many things that when I hear Eric's name that I think of. And if you ever see Party Like a Rock Star, the sign in a lot of our pictures from our 10-year gala at the Hard Rock Hotel. That was Eric's creation and idea. And what's also crazy is Marilee, I know you were very involved with that project with Eric, and you're on this call. So I always know that you worked hard on it too, Marilee. And when we were pivoting during COVID and moving our office after 17 years, we're in our 18th year, it was just incredible for Rebecca and John Hickey to go through everything with such care and reverence. And probably the number one thing that I wanted to take home with me, if it wasn't going to go in the office, was Party Like a Rock Star. And Todd was like, Dana, it's broken, it doesn't work, da da da. And I was so sad. I was like, okay, you know, me and Todd and Garrett couldn't handle going through the office for too long. We just got shut down emotionally. But I just looked at Party Like a Rock Star, like, oh, you know, I just love that. And then God bless John Hickey and Rebecca, because if you go to the vault, our working storage unit that we've transitioned to during COVID in the first quarter of this year, it's right there and you see it. It's always in the pictures now when we have visitors at the vault. And I just feel so grateful, Eric, that your legacy on that Party Like a Rock Star is still intact. You, Marilee, too, for all your support on that. When I went to meet with Eric, it was like no other meeting I had at his company at DPR. Already Todd had told me how like completely remarkable and incredible the company that Eric works for is, which you know I never usually talk about, but DPR has been such a huge supportive part of the Autism Tree family that it's probably the first time I've ever talked about a company where someone works, but they're just a huge supportive company of Autism Tree because of Eric's family and his own heartbeat that he brings to work with him. So when I went to meet with him, we talked about his son, Christopher, who he's going to share about. And I just thought, okay, he has to be on Autism Tree's board of directors. So it was the only time I ever did that to this date, Eric. I asked Eric to be on Autism Tree board the day I met him, which completely overwhelmed him. But I hadn't met a father who was so coherent, and I still haven't, Eric, that had his son's therapy on like a project management spreadsheet. And even if you do that at your job every day, Eric, I still give you insane credit, because it wasn't just like you were doing what you knew how to do. Your heart was completely intact. You understood that your wife was driving your son around all day, every day. You understood it all. You didn't yeah, you did the spreadsheet and that was insane, but you understood all of it, the impact emotionally and spiritually and financially and just everything a human being. You know, we have 724 trillion cells. And I would like to say, Eric, that when my son was diagnosed, there's not even one cell in my entire body that wasn't affected by that, by learning that my son had autism. And that took me a long time to absorb that. And I just want you to know, I want everyone to know, as I'm introducing you to Eric Cusick, that I've never met a dad that was so present with his son's diagnosis and what it meant to his wife, Brianna. And that is why I asked him immediately if he would be on the Autism Tree board of directors. And I will share with you, because we are family, Eric. And I feel that this Lunch and Learn group has been so committed to being authentic together, being, I don't really like the word transparent, so fill it in with whatever you want, but telling, you know, like things that really matter. And Eric has tried numerous times to say, Dana, I don't think I can be on the Autism Tree board, because it's been since like 2013, Eric, maybe even longer. And I'm like, no, Eric, it's okay. We really need you to stay on the board, because I can't imagine the board without you. I just can't. I feel like you're the model for how I would like to see every father honestly absorb a diagnosis and get behind you know, the planning of it and the implementation of it, and being right there for your wife. You're a role model, and nobody has stepped over you in that position. I give, you know, my husband Todd insane credit as well, Eric, but I'm just saying that I had never asked any other man besides you to be on our board for those reasons. So with that, what we kind of do to kind of get things kicked off for you, Eric, is if you don't mind, I put this question together for you for fun. What is your favorite Father's Day memory? And everyone's welcome to participate. If you type in a memory, then we share it on our follow-up email. Eric, do you want to answer that question for fun right now?
Wow, that's a tough one, but you know, for me, I think it's just getting to go like to the beach and hang out with the family and have the day about hanging out as a family, because that's what made me a father. Wouldn't be a father if it wasn't for the family. Sometimes I just want to get away and maybe go surfing by myself, but it is fun to just be around everyone and to have them climb into bed in the morning and cuddle you. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I love that. The next thing that we do is I picked out a video in your honor, just kind of to get things kicked off for this Lunch and Learn with you today. I hope you like it, Eric. I think it's really a cool video about fatherhood.
Oh, it's such a tough question. I feel like I'm being a good dad when I have very intimate moments with her and I know she's feeling the same intimacy.
Well, in my opinion, there's no like perfect father. I don't know, maybe there is, but you know, a good father is the one that like really cares.
Is someone that can make their child laugh, can naturally have fun without it having to be contrived.
At the very core of it, they just got to know you're around, and they know that when things go badly, that they feel safe coming to you and talking to you.
Oh, you support your kids, you teach them what you can. If they need something, you're there for them so that they can grow as a human being. Don't sort of hold them back, just let them be.
It's interesting to me that a conversation about parenting has become part of popular culture, I think. So I think if you look at any kind of popular media, you know, websites, The Age, I think there's a conversation going on among men and women, all sorts of people, about what it means to be a good parent.
To be frank, I've grown up an enormous amount in the last 3 years, mainly because of my responsibilities to be a good parent. And that's, I don't know, it's interesting. It's not just a responsibility to my daughter, it's a responsibility to myself to be someone that I can respect.
I think a great parent is someone who can tread that fine line between being firm and, you know, discipline when it's needed and, you know, pull all the levers at the right time. That's great in my mind. And put aside their own fatigue or whatever to do that. I think it's impossible, but I think that's great. Great parent, yeah.
When I just make my daughter smile and laugh, and sometimes I don't even have to do much to do that, you know. I think just being there and being present, that's the most important thing. And
I encourage guys to get involved. Doesn't matter what your journey is, whether it's, you know, normal, everyday, no hassle-free birth or something like we went through. It's got to get involved and enjoy it and be part of it, because if you don't, you miss out.
I hope you all love that video. I just enjoyed hearing all the fathers' different perspectives, and I think it was a great kickoff to our topic today. I picked out this quote for you, Eric. Only the best dads let their children fly. Only the most loved children will soar. Thank you for giving me wings. And it just reminds me of you, Eric, and the way that you are with your family and the dedication that you have to being part of their everyday lives is really touches me. These are some great throwback photos. Thank you, Rebecca, for finding them. Eric, look at you and Brianna at the 10-year gala at Hard Rock with your crew. Oh, it's just great memories.
I had hair and I didn't have all the gray on the beard.
Well, it was, 2013. Such great pictures from the cornhole tournament that Eric's company put on. There is you with Lisa and our board member Linda Townsend in the lower corner with you guys are both wearing trucker hats, and you and Lisa again, and then all of us when you guys presented us a truck. For those of you that don't know, Eric's company's cornhole tournament was in the Guinness Book of World Records, which is pretty incredible to think about, right, Eric?
Yeah, that's amazing. There was a lot of planning. Ian Pica from our company, he put that thing together, and yeah, they set the world record for the world's largest cornhole tournament.
And Garrett loves it. He has all the T-shirts away with him at college. He wears them all the time. We'll bring up the nether memories. Here we go. These are actually one place meetings that Eric hosted at his company. And you can see Eric there at the top one next to Lisa. There's me and Paul Montgomery, and then Chris Dickinson. And in the photo next to that is Chris Dickinson with Bobby Hanna. A lot of you, it's her husband, actually, Randy Hanna. I know a lot of you know Bobby. She's been on here and she's an occupational therapist. And then Rich Horner, who's doing our One Place project. Many of you have met him, and he also did a Lunch and Learn. And then there's me next to, I believe that's Paul, and then Bobby Hanna and Eric and my son Garrett. And then in the last bottom photo, it's Bobby Hanna, who's on our team, as I was mentioning, an occupational therapist, Lisa Kaufman, who I think a lot of you know, but moved to Oregon in January of this year. And Eric and Rich Horner and myself and Chris Dickinson and Paul Montgomery. So that was all the way back in 2017. I don't know if that touches you, Eric, but it definitely touched me to think how far we've come since then.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's nice to see the pictures from the office because I've been working from home for so long now. But,
yeah, you have the most beautiful office in San Diego, I think. At least one of top 10. And there you are speaking at our neuroscience conference, which this morning when you brought up the picture of Christopher, it just meant so much because that was just a huge starting point for us to have Eric tell his story from a father's point of view. Definitely the first 10 years of Autism Tree, all I ever heard was mother speaking. So it was very special and it continues to be. There's Eric with his beautiful family, his wife Brianna, his two sons. Now he has a little 3-year-old daughter named Pearl, who's adorable. We need to get pictures of her. We don't have any right now. We need some. And with Joel Anderson, that's at our JetBlue event that we do to practice flying and just all the different steps you go through when you're going to go on a trip to the airport. And then the photo next to that, Eric's company at Eric's Idea put on a special photo shoot so it wouldn't be so overwhelming to the families to get a photo with Santa like it is at the mall. Lots of fun picture. And was there any other slide, Rebecca? I thought there was 3. No?
That was all 3.
Okay. So, so many memories, Eric. I think Rebecca did a great job of pulling some of the best ones from the archives. But, you know, like I said, when I think of you, I just feel so grateful to have you be such a solid father and role model, and that will always be critically important at Autism Tree Project and into our future wherever we go. So I just want to say thank you for being a beacon of light for fathers and for Autism Tree and our family. So big kudos and thank you to you today, and happy Father's Day.
well, thank you, and what a wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. As you'll see from my slides, I love photos, so it was really cool to reminisce with all those photos. So today, if I just take it from here, then all right. I see nodding heads.
Yes.
I'm just going to kind of walk you through what our journey has been as a family and what has been important to us, and some of the things we've learned. Like just right off the bat, though, the 4 big things that I think I'm going to get across, that I'm hoping to get across, is one is when you get a diagnosis, and as Dana mentioned, life will be different. Immediately, like you're changing gears in your head, like, okay, I thought my future child's trajectory was X, and now it's going to be Y. And by the way, that changes the entire family dynamic as well. And there's a grieving process and a process to go through when that happens, and it's natural. For us, so far, he's now 12. Our toughest years were 2 to 5. Those were tough, and now it's not so tough. We still worry like any parent worries, and there's still extra stuff we have to do, but it was really hard as the whole family adjusted in those early years. Second point I want to get across through what this conversation is going to be is early intervention seems so important. And for Christopher, it was life-changing for everybody. I have learned a ton from talking to other parents, and so has my wife. My wife is part of some Facebook groups. We talk to kids at school when we learn about a new benefit or a new program, how people learn about ATPF even, or things to do, or benefits. It's a lot of parent chatter is how we get a lot of that information. And then the fourth thing is like a personal thing, like, hey, let's try to change the world. This affects an enormous amount of our population. How can we make the world a better place for future generations that are going to go through this? So through that, through kind of pictorially while talking is what I'm going to kind of express our journey and those 4 points. So this is Christopher. This was a few years ago, and he's the guy that I'm going to be talking about on the journey. And it started. Of course, it's not advancing slides. It started when Christopher. He seemed like a typical baby, but pretty early on, I would try to engage with him. I loved Hot Wheels as a kid. I bought a lot, over 100 Hot Wheels, ready for him to play with. But I had a really hard time engaging with him. And we'd think we'd be hearing words coming out of his mouth, but not sure. And when he wanted something, there was a very easy tantrum. And he would grab our finger and drag us to the door and put our finger on the doorknob or put our finger on the TV as his way to communicate with us. And hold on. It's downstairs or something.
Okay. You have to move the sunglasses.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, what was that?
Working from home life.
Oh yeah. Apparently I lost the keys somewhere. But
You're talking about Hot Wheels.
Yeah. So one day I went to the treadmill and at the gym, and I was looking at, why isn't my son talking? And this thing came up with some questions, and every one of them was like, is your kid talking? No. Is your kid doing this and that? And it came up that you should have your kid evaluated. And I came home and kind of broke down to Brianna and said, I think there's an issue. And this was at 17 months that we thought about it. And, he's a bright kid. So this is before he turned 3. He is lining up the alphabet in order and figuring stuff out. But it was just there was something different. So, and he also had this kind of look in his eye that like he wanted to communicate something, but couldn't, like there was stuff there. So we went to Rady's and we had him evaluated. And that's as a parent, that's a very stressful time, because you sense something wrong, you're taking the first steps to try to figure it out, but the pace that you want answers, which is every day immediately, is not the pace that you're going to get the diagnosis or that you're going to get the services started. And I know personally for me, the feeling was, we got to do something to help him quickly. So for us, it took a couple months to get benefits started. And when we were at Rady's, and we got the diagnosis, we also got this form that said, by the way, here's all the other things you have to do. You have to talk to the regional center and get your child set up as a client. You have to get diagnosis evaluations you have to start getting behavioral therapy, parent-child therapy, speech evaluations, social skills stuff set up, physical therapy evaluations, occupational therapy. And is there any medical or neurological stuff? So we had genetic testing, neurological testing, sleep testing, tons of testing. Thankfully, where I work, we have really good insurance. And so we were able to do that. But, one of the things that I want to talk about is trying to get that diagnosis initially. I reached out to my insurance company and said, hey, can we get a diagnosis to rabies? That's the #1 place to get evaluated. And they said, no, they're not in network with us. Here's a list of 5 psychologists that can give diagnosis. So I Googled them. It's like, well, these people are dealing with gender issues, divorce, relationship, addictions. And I actually called a couple of them and they're like, yeah, I could do it, but my specialty is this. So I called to back up the insurance and said, I called 3 of them. You can call the rest, but none of these people are as good as as rabies. So can I get a referral? And they said yes. And that's where I think I very quickly learned that we had to be his #1 advocate. We had to. We just can't take what people are giving us. If there's something better, we got to go figure out a way to get it. And that's kind of the role as a parent. But with a kid with special needs in my mind. And so we got this diagnosis and that kicked off a whole nother stream of things. Christopher had a lot of buildings he had to go to where he'd get therapy. We'd had in-home therapy. And for years, this was our life. Brianna was driving all over the county to Marilee's office, and Marilee would also come to our house. And getting those, and I didn't know, Marilee, you were going to be on this call, but Marilee was also instrumental with Christopher and explaining to us that, speech isn't just words. You have to have a foundation. And I still remember the triangle. We have to have a foundation before we can get to speech. And that there was a systematic approach to get there. The other thing that we had heard from Dr. Corsello at Rades was, she said early intervention is so critical because the way the human works, we're not born with a fully developed brain. That up to 5 to 7 years old, and now I've heard it's even a little bit later, that there are millions of neurological connections still happening in the brain and developing in those early years. So her recommendation was get as much therapy as your family can handle. And for us, that was 35 to 40 hours a week. It was typically 6 days a week, a lot of behavioral stuff, a lot of in-home stuff. For probably 6, 7 years, there was always a therapist in our house if it wasn't bedtime. Even during dinner time, there would be a therapist in our house. It seemed like it was constant. If Christopher wasn't going somewhere, there was a therapist in the house to help. And so it was pedal to the metal for us to do that. And we learned lots of things. We learned Christopher had some sensory issues and he had low proprioception. So in order for him to speak, he had to feel comfortable in where his body was. So you can see like a pressure vest that he's wearing, and he loved to sit in closed in places. He had a younger brother, and usually a baby gate is to keep the little kid from going somewhere. But for us, the baby gate kept the little kid from bugging Christopher. So Christopher's the one with Elmo sitting in a box inside the baby gate watching a show. Elmo was a big deal in our house. You can see the trampoline in the upper left. Christopher always had to move, and the more movement he had, it felt like the more comfort he had. So we had in our kitchen, we had swings. We are probably on our 4th trampoline because it's what he needed. And one of the things that we learned about speech from Marilee was like, speech isn't necessarily words coming out of your mouth. Speech is communication. So if he is somehow communicating anyway, if he's blinking at first, that could be his way of a starting point to speech. So Christopher and I, while Brianna had our younger son at home, she was, I don't know, 7 months pregnant when we got the diagnosis. So it was a very chaotic So I would go around to all the parks around North County and just go with Christopher, and we'd go on the swings. And I would do ready, set, go. I would say ready, set, and I'd be holding him up. And I would just wait for him to blink or twitch or flop his hands. And the second he did that, I'd say go and let go. And gosh, I don't know how many times I had done that every weekend. And he got to the point of saying go. And I was so excited, and I filmed it. And to go from like just like a wiggle or something to a word coming out of the mouth was really spectacular. And when Christopher would reach those milestones that seem so easily for others, for him it was such a big deal, and it gave us so much hope every time a milestone was hit. His first IEP was trying to give a one-word demand. That was it, just one word. And to meet these goals on the way to becoming a full speaker or to becoming a gen ed classroom were really important to us. The other tough thing along is like, we didn't want to live just at home. My wife and I love to travel, but it was hard to take Christopher out. So this is at Sprouts. Couldn't get him, it was challenging. You can see his feet are kicking even in this photo. He because the communication wasn't there, we couldn't, it didn't just work to say, hey, can you stay with me? Can you just like not touch everything? Can you not run out the emergency exit and make the alarm go off? So what we did is we Saturdays were my days with the therapist. And so me and the therapist would go out, and I'd call it, we're educating the community. And they would help me and Christopher understand how to behave in Sprouts or Target. And if he melted down, the embarrassment side went away pretty quickly, and we would just deal with it. This is the picture from the Blue Horizons that you showed in the introductions. This is from Blue Horizons, and you can see the nervousness in his face, and he's trying to smile. But we would try to take him out because we knew that we wanted him to, our whole family, to be out and about, and that we would get through this really hard time. He did try to go through the emergency exit onto the tarmac at this Blue Horizons event, but luckily everyone was understanding. It was a trial run. Since this time, Christopher has flown to Hawaii a couple times. He's flown to San Francisco. So but these early things of getting him these experiences and trial runs were really important. We live near Legoland, so we had Legoland passes, and the poor kid, he trusted me so much, he went on a roller coaster. He doesn't, to this day, he may go on Radiator Springs at Disneyland, but he is terrified of roller coasters because of what you see in this picture. It's actually his therapist, behavioral therapist, Jessica, is in the back seat behind us. We would really go with therapists and try to have the best time we could. Jessica's actually, Christopher had a sensitivity to the automatic flushing toilets. So he wouldn't go to the bathroom. He'd hold it into the point where he was crying, and we had to drive home from places. Jessica made it her personal mission to get him accustomed to the automatic flush toilets, using Post-it notes over the sensors and just being patient. I remember as at Legoland, when she had her first success with it, it took, she was in there with 20 minutes with him until he finally calmed down and went to the restroom. It's that sort of patience and help that's really needed. We loved going to the happiest place on earth, but you can see Dumbo, he wasn't very happy here. And so we had to become, but over time, we didn't give up. And over time, we would just try to keep on listening. And we would actually go with therapists to Disneyland. And a lot of these parks at the time, I don't know if they still do, had programs where you could let a therapist in and didn't have to pay for them as well. But over time, he came to love Disneyland. Like this is his, this is him on Casey Jr. ride, just having a good time. This is him a few months ago, grown up. He's the one with the fedora hat, which is his Disneyland hat. He wanted to get it, and he wears it every time he goes to Disneyland now. But he really does enjoy it. But getting him there was tough. There was a lot of early intervention. So we also learned some things early on too, that in the in the school environment, we went to our first IEP and we didn't know what it was. It was 3 years old and all this legal stuff was happening. We learned that we needed help. So we learned there's advocates out there. And so we talked around to a bunch of parents and to a bunch of people and to folks like Marilee and say, who are some good advocates? Who are people? So we connected with an advocate really early on. And she's been with us now through we're going into our 6th grade transition now, that has helped us build a team. Because our style is, we didn't want to fight the district. We wanted to build a relationship with the district. And we built a great team for Christopher that supported him through school. So that's one of the other takeaways is get help when you need help. I mean, we're not experts on this. So we were able to find an advocate, and that's kind of this new navigating neurodiversity pilot that Rebecca and I have been working on. That's kind of related to this. It's to help parents, like when we're given that sheet from Radies that you saw, that someone, if they reach out to Autism Tree is going to be able to say, yeah, we've got a consultant that can help you, that will pay for the first few hours of it to help you get services set up. So once you get those services set up, then it's kind of like the train is running and you can breathe for a little bit. So and that's also goes with the change the world side, is if us as parents, if we see something that's broken or we can use help, is to try to figure out how to help. So Christopher spent the last year in the cloud. For various reasons, we decided to pull our kids and to do the cloud campus. And cloud was really tough for Christopher. We've learned he's more social than we understood. The cloud campus, I did graphs, part of my job is to look at data. We did graphs and we saw his homework grades. He went from like over 80% average per month on his homework grades to below 50% on his grades over the first 5 months of this year. And the cloud campus didn't work for his type of thing. Even though he has a one-on-one aid through the cloud, it wasn't the same. We also learned that, we pushed gen ed. We pushed like, let's get him in gen ed. Let's get him in gen ed. So from starting in 4th grade, he started to push into gen ed for certain topics. In 6th grade, he was full on in gen ed and out of the special day classes. But we learned he missed his friends that were also neurodiverse. He wasn't making connections with the kids in the gen ed classroom. When he went through his 6th grade promotion, which was just a few weeks ago, he actually asked if they gave him the option, like, who do you want to walk with? And he wanted to walk with his special day class friends that he had for a long time. He was no interest in the gen ed classroom folks. And so they actually moved things around so he could be with that classroom and go to his old school and walk with them, and he went up to his friends as he was walking up there, and I have a video of it, and he touched each of them and said hi, of all his gen ed or all his special needs friends that he grew up with. And so, that's our next step of our journey. He's transitioning into 7th grade, which is a totally different environment. We're really nervous about it. Our advocate is working really hard to help us get the right placement for him. But we've learned that he wants to be around kids that are like him. And, for years, we wouldn't talk about autism in our house, even though so they didn't know any different. They thought for all that mattered to them is this was typical. This was what every family was doing. But around 5th grade, we started to talk about it. We talked openly that Christopher was autistic, and it was just like another conversation. And we heard about this show called Love on the Spectrum, which is out of Australia, and it's a dating show for young adults on the spectrum, like a reality show, unscripted. And we watched the first episode, thought, I wonder what Christopher will think. So he was sitting in the room and we just turned it on, started watching. And he was on his iPad looking at Redfin or whatever he does. And we saw that he stopped and he was watching and he was glued. And we ended up watching the whole season with him. And he loved hearing from the young adult perspectives of kids on the spectrum, what they were going through. And I think it gave him a little bit of confidence and really learned, like, hey, look, let's not be shy about talking about autism around him. Let's just part of life and part of the conversation. So it was being able to listen to him and understand that, yeah, his friends are like him, and he feels most comfortable and in his most skin when he's around people that he can relate to the most. So that's where we're at in our journey right now. So I'm looking at my notes to see if I missed any key things. And so this is as far as we're at. I think I hit them all. So the life has been different for us, but we've tried to meld it. We can travel now. We couldn't travel for a while. We can travel now. We're worried about his future, just like any parent is worried about his future. We realize he might be living with us for a while. We feel like we're his number one advocate, and we're going to continue to be. We still talk to other parents. We're just like I reached out to Dana and Rebecca not too long ago about a school that might be a good placement for him, and talked to a few parents that they referred to us to learn and see if it was the right thing for Christopher. He's actually at that school right now today in the summer camp program, testing it out. And then, try to change the world. So the other change the world thing is I really like where I work. Dana's mentioned it's a good company. I think I love DPR. I would love it if Christopher had the opportunity to work at a company like DPR. So DPR is partnered with the Stanford Neurodiversity Project, and Dr. Fung, who we met through ATPF, and his team. And DPR just went through interviews for some internships for young adults that are college graduates that are part of the Stanford Neurodiversity Project. They're on the spectrum. Some of them have master's degrees. One of them had 2 master's degrees. Pretty impressive just to see this process. And we interviewed 4 candidates. All were wonderful. We only had 2 openings for our internships, and we just learned this morning that both candidates have accepted their offers for our internship. So DPR is going to have our first summer interns for young adults on the spectrum as a pilot program that, if it takes off, we have a diversity and inclusion initiative in our company. If it takes off, this could be across the company. One of our goals is that our offices will reflect the communities that we live in. So I'm hoping that it's a lasting thing. So that's part of the change the world. If we can pave the way for our kids to a brighter future, that's what we want to do. That's what I got. So
I love it, Eric. Love it so much.
Yeah, I'm gonna figure out if I can see my mouse and stop share and see if there's any questions or.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and open it up to anybody who wants to ask a question. You can unmute yourself or type it in the chat. I'll help moderate too. Terrence, thank you for joining us today, Terrence. He had a.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I'm here.
Hi.
Eric. Terrence was on our panel as living autistically. Terrence, tell Eric a little about yourself because it's very exciting.
Sure. I'm a liaison spokesperson of the San Diego Symphony.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. I have seen that on the social media.
Oh, thanks.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Eric, they did a whole documentary on Terrence years ago, and that's how I met Terrence. I went to the documentary featuring him as this incredible musician. And so he's kind of a rock star.
That's awesome.
Oh, thanks so much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you, Eric. I'm Terrence. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you as well. And I see your comment that you like Hawaii and Disneyland.
By the way, I really love you're talking about the Disneyland and I'm sorry about that. It was Hawaii first, then Sprouts and Disneyland, because I've been to both places.
Yeah.
I love the
Disneyland.
Disneyland.
We love Disneyland.
My favorite part is Star Wars and Avengers.
Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? It's really cool.
Yes.
It's really cool. My kids love that as well.
Yeah, I love the Black Panther.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Yes.
We have Disney Plus, and all of our kids watch all the Marvel movies, and they love them. And one of them is into the Star Wars. Not all of them, but one of them is. Well, it's really nice to meet you.
Oh, pleasure to meet you too.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Carol Waldman as well. She's an HPF mom. Hi, Carol. Thanks for joining. You can go ahead.
Hey, Jeff, I'm new joining in on these Lunch and Learns and with the Autism Tree Project Foundation. I have a son who is actually just finished his freshman year at the University of Wisconsin. So
Wow.
just so you know, you never know how life will be from when your child is in elementary school to middle school to high school. You just don't know.
Right.
But anyway, I have learned so much from you too, because, you know, for many reasons. But anyway, my question to the point is, my son happens to be the oldest of two siblings, and it sounds familiar. And I'm wondering, like, how does he get along with his siblings? And are you finding the siblings, it's helpful to him with some of this social, I mean, my younger siblings call out Andrew when he's not doing something appropriate, or, you know, he'll throughout the years. So I'm wondering how it works in the family.
Well, it sounds very similar. So I think it's been very helpful for Christopher to have a younger brother that sometimes that is more typical than he is. As the way I'd say it, and because it's a behavioral model that's there 24/7. I know his younger brother and Christopher likes to say, "Oh, I'm like the younger brother." And I've had to talk to the younger brother, Alec, and say, it is kind of like you are the older brother, and he understands autism and what's going on. But yeah, they fight like brothers. And our younger brother does point out, just like you mentioned, things that aren't necessarily the social norm. We you know, we're not perfect. We walk it delicately, you know. Sometimes we let the conversation happen. Sometimes if it's getting too emotional, we cut it off. And I remember asking, I don't know if it was Marilee or some of the other folks at Hope, like, what's it going to be like with a sibling? And we did get our Christopher's brother also did get early intervention. A lot of it was preventative, but he went through the early intervention as well, as did Pearl. But I think it just, because the odds are in that way, we just wanted to take advantage of whatever services we could get. But yeah, we're learning that sibling things. They battle each other pretty frequently. Our youngest has learned karate, and so now we have to deal with karate practice at home as well on each other. But it's wonderful to hear are they close, or are your sons relatively close to each other emotionally?
You know, so he has a younger sister and a younger brother, and yeah, he has a really good relationship with his younger sister. She looks out for him and is very protective. And then with the older, you know, the younger brother is 5 years younger, and that took some work. But now he drives them places. He'll help me, you know, work out a schedule where he can help me in the summer to drive him to camp and home. But yeah, it's taken some time to get there, but it's neat to see it evolve, because they used to fight a lot, and I'm like, oh my god. We're
in that fight mode.
Yeah, but they do mature. They do mature. So
good. Like when they were toddlers, because they were toddlers together, it was very close. But yeah, right now, as I call them, preteens, they are and hormones are changing and everything. It's a little bit dicey at times, but it also sounds kind of typical that some of that back and forth feels typical as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question, Carol. All right, well, we've reached a good time. If anybody else has any questions for Eric, Eric, is it okay if we share your contact info, your email address or something in our follow-up email?
Eric, I wanted to make sure that I let Jeff introduce himself, because Jeff has really been so dedicated to Autism Tree. He was on our Living Autistically panel. He flew out from Massachusetts. And Jeff, I know you're flying out to help Rebecca on something soon, but I just want to make sure Eric knows how much you've really been dedicated during the pandemic, and even before that. Jeff was helping us on our Sweet 16,000 person gala that we had to, not do because of COVID. But I wanted to make sure that you knew how much Jeff puts in of his own time, talent, and treasure here at ATPF. And Jeff, you can tell Eric anything you want about what you're focused on or what you're coming out here for.
First off, I'm an autism and neurodiversity disability self-advocate. I'm based here in Massachusetts near Providence, Rhode Island. And I have been involved with Autism Tree Project Foundation for almost 2 years now. And in September, I'm going to be coming back out to help out with the ATPF and end of summer event for the boys of ATPF. So so you can so Christopher is more than welcome to come out and spend some time. It's from 10 to 12 at Del Mar Beach. So
in Del Mar Beach, that's really close to where we're at. So that would be wonderful if I'll keep an eye out for that information. And I saw in the chat your website, so I'm looking over at your website as well. I see you're also a Disney fan.
That's right.
Looks like you're a Patriots fan as well from behind you.
Yeah, I'm kind of not since Brady went to Tampa. So I mean,
yeah. Well,
Eric, I hope
you
you
for
stay in touch with Jeff and his family. The reason is because I think Jeff has an incredible amount of, of things that he can contribute with neurodiversity and the Autism at Work program. And I love, Jeff, how behind you your family is. I think it's amazing. When you came to the neuroscience conference, Jeff, was it your aunt and uncle or your mom and dad, or who was with you?
It was my mom and dad that came. My aunt and uncle were supposed to come, but they ended up changing their plans at the last minute. So
are they in California?
My aunt and uncle, they're in San Clemente near Orange County.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so Jeff and his family are a powerhouse, Eric. I just want you to know that. In terms of support. Awesome. And Terrence's mother works at Regional Center, and Terrence and his mom have been just hugely supportive of the Lunch and Learns and our neuroscience conference, and did other educational stuff too. So I'm really grateful to Terrence and Jeff for their commitment to moving Autism Tree forward with neurodiversity and being role models in that with everyone in the neurodiverse sphere working hard.
I really appreciate you guys attending. I mean, for me as a parent, I don't to see role models like yourselves out there and helping others, and your guys are paving the way. I really appreciate it, because Christopher is going to be where you're at someday, and to be able to follow the lead for what you guys are doing and how you're volunteering time and how you're advocating. And Jeff, I see from your website you're talking about bullying and mental health and how important that is, and that's stuff that we're concerned about with Christopher. So I really appreciate both of you being such great role models for the younger generation, like my son. So thank you.
Yes, and Catriel.
You're welcome. Very welcome.
Catriel's newer, and Catriel, I appreciate you. I'm getting to know you. Can you share about yourself with Eric?
Oh, hi.
Hello. Yeah, so I have Asperger's, and I am at college at Westmont College. And I also was relating a lot to Christopher because I grew up with very little friends and didn't really have a close friend until junior year of high school. And when I did have friends, I at first had really crappy friends, honestly. And then now I have two really close friends, and they're both kind of, one of them's they're both neurotypical, I guess, but they both also really understand me and really get me, and that's really cool. So yeah. And also, I have one more thing I want to say, sorry. As I said, I don't know if I said this actually, but I have two siblings, and they're both older than me, and they're also both neurotypical, except for ADHD, but besides that, they're neurotypical. And I had a question, because my brother lives in England, and so that's been kind of hard on me, because I kind of feel like he isn't there as much for me. And so I was wondering, like, do you have any advice for that?
I'm not sure. We're not at that stage yet. I don't know if Carol may be closer to those experiences than me. If you have anything, I really appreciate you bringing up about the friends, because Christopher doesn't have very many close friends right now. And we would love for him to have a best friend. We're waiting, and we're trying to pair him up with folks to maybe over the summer or where his summer school is. But that's one of our goals, is for him to develop a close friendship with someone, because it hasn't happened yet.
Jeff, I know you said in the comments that you have an older neurotypical sibling. She lives in Virginia. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes, I was kind of sympathizing with Cottrell there, because I do have one older sister. She's a gynecologist, does OBGYN in Roanoke, Virginia, and of course, sometimes, being around neurotypical siblings, it can be very difficult, because you're always trying to fight for attention, or they're getting in your space and things of that sort. But but the good news is, as we get older, then some of that sibling rivalry starts to be kind of put to rest. And I mean, I will say it is going to take time. It will take time. And Eric, I can also understand about Christopher not having very many friends. And actually, I did have one friend that I spent a lot of time with. And as we got older, we got kind of we got into some kind of strange situations, and we're still friends, of course, but it's just not the way that it used to be. And after that, I decided to, I got to start branching out my network. And part of the reason why I've joined the autism community and the the brony communities. And for those who don't know, bronies are fans of My Little Pony, and I've made friends in the community over there as well. So it's more about building the network and stuff. And I think if you come out to the end of the summer event for boys' end of summer event on September 11th, I'm pretty sure he could start building that network, and I can be there to help him if necessary.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem.
That's our goal for the summer. We got our first connection with him with another kid from his class. They're going to go hang out together this weekend. So we'll be hoping that they connect more.
I love
Thank
you. Thank you so much, Eric, for your generosity, your heart, your time. It was so great to just hear you talking and learn from you.
And thank you everyone for attending. I could have talked for a whole another hour, but I really appreciate you guys sharing at the end all the experiences, because it's very motivating for me to hear the stories and to see you guys being the role models. So thank you.
Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, everybody.
Yeah, I want to take a picture before we go.
Oh man.
Oh, we just want one person.
Always got to be a picture.
Yes.
Always got to be a picture. You know how it is.
It's all part of our legacy, Eric.
Yeah.
For any of you who would like to, if you have your cameras off, you can turn it on now. We'd love to see your smiling faces. But other than that, everybody smile at the camera. I'll do a countdown. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Got it.
All right.
Have a beautiful day, guys.
Bye.
And
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye,
Have a good
everybody.
one.
Happy 4th of July.
You too.
Bye.
Happy Independence Day. Tell your